Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, and I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues for small business owners and just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled legal issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information. Now, on to the show. Hey there, welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited for today's interview with Sheena Works. But before getting into the episode, I have a huge announcement. I now have text capabilities, and you can text me. I would love for you to text me right now. Text me the word podcast to 832-225-3164, and you will get notifications about new podcast episodes to make sure you don't miss anything. And you'll get notifications about giveaways and promotions. And you will also just get to talk to me one-on-one with just a text message and not email, because we know today email's kind of just not as cool as it was 10 years ago. But texting is where it's at. So make sure you text me 832-225-3164. Now, today's episode is with Sheena Works. She is a sales and education expert who has spent the better half of the last decade creating and educating sales professionals on how to sell offers quicker and more authentically. She is incredibly passionate about helping ambitious female business owners obtain financial freedom by way of selling out their offers online and consistently making $5,000 to $10,000 sales in sales per month. So if you're looking for a sales expert, I am excited to introduce you to this episode with Sheena Works. Welcome everybody back to the Legalpreneur Podcast. Today I have with me Sheena Works. Thank you, Sheena, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited for the audience to hear what you're up to, because I know a lot of the audience is moms and work at home moms, the solopreneurs. So I know that they will really resonate with what you have going on. So go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about you, how you got started, how you got to this point in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a mom as well. I have a toddler son, and really, I got started with my coaching business because of him. Before I had my son, I was kind of a workhorse. I would work 10, 15 hours a day at the company I was at, trying to make it to the top of my career. And when I had him, everything just kind of fell apart, really. I decided that I didn't want to hustle. I didn't want to compete with other women in a corporate environment, which is something I experienced a ton of. I had actually had my dream job. I created and ran a training and development department at a growing tech company here in Los Angeles. And last year, I just quit. I just quit one day because it wasn't worth competing with other people over what I had worked so hard for. And I found that I was spending a lot more time being upset at home as opposed to enjoying having a new son. At the time, he was barely over 1. So yeah, I just randomly quit one day. I luckily had a lot of support from my husband to do so, because I was just miserable. And I started a company that was supposed to be a training consultative company, which turned into helping moms who are starting businesses, who want to grow businesses, really hone in on the skills that it takes to do that. So I started my coaching business, Working Moms Co., in about July last year, and just found that there was a huge need and a huge lack of confidence between moms that have really brilliant ideas and have really great products, and the disconnect between having those things in their minds and wanting to share them with the world and not knowing how to. So I've been in business for a little under a full year now, and it's just been incredible to connect with so many ambitious moms, so many ambitious women in general, especially you, Andrea. It's been so great to connect with you, who are really, women that are really doing big things and need their voice to be heard. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, likewise. I'm really glad that we connected. And I love your story, because I think we have a really similar story. I had my son when I was in my last semester of law school, and we actually miscarried the week before I started like my big law job. And like when that happened, just like you, like everything just kind of fell apart and I was miserable even from like day one at my job. And I was just consistently looking for a way out. And luckily, like I've been able to make it work. I just love that we have a similar story because I think a lot of people out there also have a similar story, how they're grinding, hustling, and they're just over it, especially when we have kids, because that it's so great and it's so cliche because, and I hated to be the person to say this, like, oh, like everything changes once you have a kid, but it's so true. And I seriously hate being cliche, but it's incredible what the kids do to us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I struggled with that a lot when I first had my son, Sebastian, was not allowing my life to change. And, I was trying to fight that cliche so hard. And then that's when it hit me, a year after I had him, I'm like crying at my desk at work, trying to run a team, trying to grow a department in a company. And I was like, wait a second. No, my life has to change. I have to change because I need to be better for him. So yeah, I totally agree. It's a little cliche, but it is true. And, I find that for myself and the women that I love to work with is that you can still be ambitious. You can still be strong. You can still be a worker when you have a child. You don't have to change that part of you, but you do have to change your priorities.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And actually, I think that's why so many women are killing it as entrepreneurs, because naturally we're worker bees and we are very ambitious and we're successful at our jobs, but we're just tired of the hustle. So I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I'm not like obsessed with Taylor Swift, but I have bought all of her CDs. I'm a Taylor Swift fan. And her new song, or her one on her latest album, The Man, like I heard that and I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, like this is it. This is why women are so tired of the rat race and tired of competing against men who clearly have an advantage over women for various reasons. And I don't want this episode to end up being like a men bashing episode, but at the end of the day, like women are killing it in the entrepreneurship world because we're very ambitious. We know how to be successful and we want to do it our own way now.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, I will say too, that it's not just, I've found in my experience, and I'm sure a lot of moms, when you become new moms and want to maintain a high level career, that it's not just men either. It's also other women, which I think is even more of a bummer, really.
You're right.
So there's a huge distinction, and in my experience, at least, a huge distinction between the women that had children and the women that didn't. And yeah, it's interesting. Like, we don't have to compete. Like, we can all do this. We can all be successful. And I just love the collaborative aspect of entrepreneurship that I've noticed as I've stepped into this. Oh, wait, I'm not competing with anyone. We all can do it together. Let's all rise up and help each other. So that's been really incredible.
I love that. I think women are killing it in entrepreneurship because we're tired of competing and we're ready to collaborate. So yeah, no, I'm really glad we touched on that point. So before you stepped into your role as an entrepreneur, what was your outlook, if any, on attorneys? So like whether you'd ever worked with an attorney or if you just had this like mindset about attorneys, what was that before you became an entrepreneur?
So actually, the company that I worked for did marketing for attorneys, and my husband actually works with attorneys all the time. So I've always had a really good idea of what attorneys were and what they did, and particularly familiar with like personal injury attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, because that's what we did. We did their marketing for them. So I've always been really interested in the whole process and like how they do their work and how much detail is involved. So nerding out a little bit here, but how much detail is involved in their job and the job of an attorney. So personally, I've been always fascinated with like the amount of school that all attorneys have to go through and the amount of commitment you have to make to your career and your clients and your process. So yeah, attorneys are fascinating to me. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make here.
Well, you are definitely an outlier. Let me say that. But no, that's really cool. I had no idea that's what you did. Okay, so you are definitely an outlier because I know that most people have either no experience with attorneys or the only experience they have is with family law, possibly through a divorce, or maybe somebody in the family passed away and they had to get an estate attorney to go through probate and all kinds of like random attorneys. And sometimes those attorneys can get bad names. So when it comes to business, especially as a small business owner, if you don't have a ton of experience with attorneys, then they're just intimidated and scared. And honestly, what I have found, a lot of small businesses are intimidated because they'll hear about, the $1 billion lawsuit between Apple and Samsung and those humongous companies that spend millions of dollars on legal counsel every year. And they think they have to spend that much money. But when it comes to small business owners, you don't have to spend that much money. So I'm going to be upfront with everybody. Sheena is actually a member of the Legalpreneur, which is our all access membership. But I want to dive deeper here because Sheena, as you heard her say, has been in business for less than a year. And I'm guessing that you went ahead and signed up probably immediately when you launched your business. Is that right?
So it was a little bit after I launched my business because I just wanted to do the research to find the right fit for me and my business and the right vibe, for lack of better words, with an attorney that I knew I could trust and could provide me the services that I need when I needed them. So I actually launched my business in July and spent I think I signed up in October, November, but spent that time basically worrying every day about protecting my business because, what's funny is I had a lot of experience with attorneys over the last 5 years from being their marketing, being a part of their marketing, and not needing their services. So when I started my own business, I had an idea of how important it was to protect your business and protect your clients and, do the right thing for everyone around you. But I really didn't know how much it entailed and what went into it. So I kind of was in a state of fear for a while and didn't really proactively do much in my business because I wanted to make sure I was doing it right first. And that's just me by nature. I'm an educator and educated, I do a lot of research on stuff. So it took a lot longer than it should have for me personally to have signed up. But yeah, I did eventually do it.
No, I think you signed up at a great time. And a lot of people actually wait because they think when they're first starting out, they can't afford legal counsel. And number one, that's because they probably don't look into it or it's in the back of their mind because they're ready to launch and make money, which I totally understand. But can you go ahead and tell people like how helpful the Legalpreneur has been for you? What have we done for you through the program? Like, how has it actually helped you with your business, protecting it, getting you ready to make sure that nobody can take advantage of you? Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, totally. I love talking about that. So for me personally, the thing that isn't on paper is it gave me the confidence to actually pursue and sign up clients. So the very first thing that I did was I sent over a contract that I had put together. And I realized now that I had actually been avoiding even signing clients because I was so afraid that I didn't have a good contract or I didn't have a contract at all. And I'm really big on protecting my business, but also protecting my clients too. So that was the first thing I did was sign up, get a contract going, make sure all of my documentation for my business was ironclad and really just had the right language, had the right meaning behind it, and was going to protect me, my business, and of course my clients too. So then I also have, every time I have an idea or something that I think should be trademarked, I think I have like three in the process right now.
Yeah.
And I probably have like 17 more that I will send down the pipeline. But that's the thing too, is that's where I found the most education. And that's where, connecting with you has really just opened my eyes to IP a lot more. Intellectual property, right? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, intellectual property. There you go.
So I want to protect my ideas. I want to protect my process. I want to protect everything that I have going on. So I dived really quickly into doing that. And, I'll go back to saying the biggest thing that joining did for me was give me the confidence and the reassurance to move forward as a new business owner and to make sure that, I'm a really small business right now. And there's a lot of big businesses out there, a lot of women that make a lot more money than I do currently. And I wanted to also protect myself against being like, for lack of better words, being overturned by somebody bigger, or like kind of not bullied. Nobody's bullied, but, protecting my ideas against the industry too a little bit.
Yeah, I totally get it. That happens quite often, especially as a newer entrepreneur. A lot of times I've seen where a new entrepreneur will have a mentor and they'll kind of share things with the mentor, and then unknowingly the mentor just kind of like takes it as their own because they're a lot bigger, and then they end up making more money. It becomes a mess. And that's because typically the newer entrepreneur just didn't take the time, spend the money to protect their product, their idea, whatever it was. They're just kind of like running wild with it and not protecting it. So it's really important. And I wanted to touch on IP really quickly, just so the audience knows. So IP is intellectual property. The three arms of intellectual property are patents, trademarks, and copyrights. For Sheena, we currently have 3 or 4 trademark applications pending for her. And typically Sheena will have these ideas. She's launching, a membership, or she's doing this coaching, and she has unique names for those products and services, and she wants to protect them because they identify her brand. So because they identify her brand, we're filing trademarks in order to protect those names. And getting that protection allows her to make sure that nobody is going to be infringing, which means using a similar or the same name as her. That would lead to her customers being confused by who they're purchasing from. So if, Sheena has ABC membership and there's another similar online coach out there who has ABD membership, well, if it's close enough that consumers may be confused as, okay, is this Sheena's product or is this the other person's product? Well, guess what? That is trademark infringement. Even if it's not the same exact name, it can still be trademark infringement if consumers are likely to be confused. So let me harp on that for a second. It doesn't matter if confusion has occurred or not. If consumers are likely to be confused, then it's trademark infringement. That's like the buzzword with the trademark office is likelihood of confusion. And that's like the big refusal you want to avoid at all costs with the trademark office. But just know that trademark infringement doesn't just occur when it's the same name. It can be anything similar. So just wanted to harp on that for a second.
So important. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it really is. And Sheena also touched on how the first thing she did was send us contracts. That's also part of the legalpreneur. So when you're a member of the legalpreneur, and it's actually changed a little bit since Sheena joined. So as of January 2020, the legalpreneur includes unlimited emails. So typically when you're working with an attorney, they charge you hourly, and that's for them to read your email, think about your email, and then actually respond to your email. It's ridiculous. Like, I've been in that position where the partner giving me an assignment was like, hey, make sure you take your time on this. And I'm like, listen, dude, like if it's going to take me 20 minutes, I'm not going to spend 2 hours on this. So we include all emails, 60 minutes of phone calls every single month, 30 pages of document review every month. And then now you also get access to the contract vault, which right now there's about 35 to 40 contract templates that are drafted by me and my team. You get all access to those. You don't have to pay extra. It's included with your membership. And then you get 15% off of any other services. And then if you pay in full for the year and the longer you're a monthly member, then you get added benefits. I think Sheena can talk on this, but the value that you get is just absolutely incredible. I'm sure with marketing, Sheena has some knowledge about what attorneys normally charge, and it's nothing compared to it. I mean, it's outrageous compared to what the legalpreneur is.
Yeah, it's nuts. What's funny is I met you actually at Pays to Be Brave. That's how I got introduced to you. So what's funny is when I saw your one sheet or your price sheet, I was like, wait, is this a joke? Like, are you like a legit attorney? Because I had been, like I said, I had been researching for so long And everyone's prices, like private, just going to an attorney here in Los Angeles is, first of all, outrageous to begin with.
Yeah.
But when I found you, I was like, okay, I'm signing up immediately because you can't find this anywhere. You can't find this value. You can't find this. The price is just way too little. But no, it's great. It's been really helpful for me as a new business owner, honestly, because like I had mentioned before, I have confidence. But most of all, the peace of mind that you just have with having an attorney on your side, like, having your back is so, so incredibly important that the membership is just, it's a no-brainer. And I wish I would have done it the second that I signed up for a business, like you sign up for businesses. But the second I filed for a business, I wish I would have found you then, because I would have started way sooner than I even did. And, and you touched on copywriting, and that's the other thing that, that's the one part that I haven't dived into yet. And I know how important it is. And I'm excited to really get more of my work copyrighted as well. So I'm glad that that's the service that you offer too.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that we got connected, because I've had so many attorneys actually tell me, you can charge a lot more for this. And I know I could, but I want to help small business owners. That is my mission. And I have to make sure that I'm able to serve the clients that I want to serve. And in order to do that, I have to keep my prices at a point where I know the clients I want to work with can afford. So it's a fine line figuring that price point, that good price point. And I played with it a lot. I know you signed up at a lower price point than what it is now, but we did add the contract vault. So that's why the price went up in January. Honestly, I know I could charge a lot more. Right now, the monthly is $199 and then the yearly is $21.89. And I remember I was having lunch with an attorney a couple months ago, and I had told him about my, the legalpreneur, and he was just like, "What? You're charging what for that?" He was like, "Do you know how much money you could be charging?" He's like, "But think about the phone calls. How do you manage that?" I'm like, "Listen, my clients are busy. Yeah, they get access to 60 minutes of phone calls, but they're not necessarily using it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Most people want to just email me and get get their questions answered through email. And then if they have a question that is easier to either ask or easier for me to explain over the phone, then we'll hop on a call. But most of it's just email. Yeah, I don't really have a hard time managing it at all. I think this year I'm going to hire another attorney, because I currently have one attorney working for me, and I'm going to hire another one this year. But right now, I'm good. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not crazy busy with, legalpreneur clients, but it's good. I really like it. So, okay, moving on. So you've been part of the Legalpreneurs since October, November. Are you able to estimate how much you've spent on attorneys for your business? So I think you have actually said that you have only used me. Mm-hmm. And I asked this question because I want other business owners to hear how much you actually spend protecting your business, because I want them to realize it doesn't have to be a lot.
No, it's funny. I'm like, wait, how much have I spent? So I have 3 trademark applications in process plus the monthly. So honestly, I think at this point, I've spent no more than 5,000, maybe 6,000 at the most, most. And I feel totally protected. That's nothing at all. Being sued would cost a ton more than that. So I'm like, I'll pay whatever it costs to not get sued for something that I could have avoided, that I could totally avoid.
I know, I try not to get sassy when people say, "Oh, I can't afford, legal protection."
Sassy.
I'm like, okay, well, can you afford a lawsuit?
The answer is no, never. You cannot afford a lawsuit. Oh my gosh, I've seen this happen. I've seen, we have business owners that we know, and they've gotten sued, and it just destroys businesses. And so for me, it's I can't afford to have a destroyed business over something that I could have easily avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right. So one last question. Can you give the audience one business tip. This doesn't have to be a legal tip. It can be just like your number one business tip that you give people.
Ooh, that's a good one. There's so many. I think my number one business tip is to be confident enough to be authentically yourself and whatever it is that you're selling or offering or, you have to give to the world, just give it, just share it, be open about it.
I love that.
Share what you got. People want it. People need to know you exist.
Yeah, I've heard the saying, a terrible thing happens when you don't share your message. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
It's crazy.
So you have to get out there. You have to be confident and just share what you have with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I would have done it sooner. That's the only thing. My only regret in business is not doing it sooner, of course.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're doing great now. And I think you have a freebie for the listeners.
It's a little sales training kind of on that basis of just sharing what you have. So it's bit.ly/sales 4 moms. And it's just going to help you get a little bit of confidence to share your offer.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, listeners, make sure you go download that sales training. Everybody always needs a sales training. And make sure to share this episode, tag at Andrea Sager Law, and tag Sheena at SHEE.works. And I'll link that in the show notes as well. Tag us both on Instagram. Let us know what you liked most about this episode. We would love to get your feedback. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much, Sheena.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Yeah. See you next time. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. I'll see you next episode.